In the 1980s, I was watching the final episode of the A-Team when I had the strangest feeling I'd seen it before. Not this reminds me of another episode. I mean the feeling that I had seen this exact episode. The Italian restaurant, the hitman, the injured hero, the other hero trying to keep everyone alive during a hostage situation. Unfortunately, it was the 80s, so I couldn't just Google it or start pulling DVDs off my shelf. I had nothing to go by other than that treasure trove of television trivia I call my brain. So it took me another 10 or 20 years, but eventually it came to me. I had seen this episode before, only it was in 1975, and it was an episode of Starsky and Hutch. Let's put them side by side and see how this goes. Exhibit A, the restaurant. Both episodes are what's known as a bottle show, meaning the majority of the hour takes place in one location. In this case, a charming, family-run Italian restaurant. Starsky and Hutch stop in for a late dinner, while Murdoch is inexplicably working as a waiter and Face and Frankie have stopped by for a bite. Exhibit B, the thugs. In Bay City, a couple of thugs have settled in to wait for a mob rival whom they plan to assassinate when he arrives later in the evening. The man was kind enough to make a reservation so they'd know he'd be there. And oh look, here are the A-Team thugs. They're assassins too, and they're waiting for the Attorney General, who also has reservations to dine later that evening. Okay. Exhibit C, the waitress. Both shows, have a pretty waitress who gets roped into helping our heroes. In the shootout, Teresa is aware of the plot and is happy to help because Vic Monty killed my brother. The A-Team waitress doesn't appear to have convictions of this or any kind. Pretty waitress, check. Exhibit D, the bathroom. Okay, this is where it goes from could be a coincidence to come on. In both episodes, a pivotal plot point involves a thug shooting one of our heroes just after he comes out of the bathroom. Starsky goes in to wash his hands, he comes out, and walks right into a bullet. 12 years later, Face goes into a restroom to pickpocket one of the thugs. He makes it a little further before taking a bullet to the gut. Both shows move the injured hero into another room so the intended target won't see a bloody mess. Then Hutch in the 70s and Murdoch in the 80s go back and forth between administering first aid and managing the increasingly tense hostage situation happening outside in the restaurant. Seriously, we have wandered into did somebody have this script sitting in a filing cabinet territory? What's interesting is that even though both shows are on the same track, the tone is very different from this point forward. Hutch cradles his dying partner, comforts him with bad jokes, and even touches forehead to forehead with him. It's a level of masculine intimacy rarely seen on television. In Without Reservations, Murdoch is uncharacteristically serious and in charge, and his concern for Face is palpable. But remember, A-Team was basically an action, almost comedy show, so we don't get the same level of angst that we get from Starsky and Hutch. More's the pity. We come to our final exhibit, the failed sleight of hand. As we roll toward the third act, both heroes attempt a sleight of hand maneuver that doesn't quite work as intended. For Hutch, it's the retrieval of an old pistol hidden under the bar. He's caught in the act while retrieving the clip from the register, but it's only a temporary oh no because Hutch has successfully distracted the thugs long enough for the waitress to actually retrieve the gun. In the A-Team, Murdoch works with the waitress to write a need help message for B.A. who has come into the restaurant to pick up a pizza. Once he leaves, Murdoch is confronted and his attempt to pass the message via napkin is discovered. But just like Starsky and Hutch, the scene is really a misdirection designed to make us think all is lost. Except it isn't. Hutch gets the old pistol and the clip together, and B.A. discovers a message written in anchovies on his pizza. Let's pause here to remember that Starsky and Face are both losing blood. Starsky's going numb, and Face, well, frankly, we're all surprised he's still breathing. But finally, all the players are in place, and there are only minutes before the intended target arrives. Time to play the final hand. Distraction. Starsky throws a jug, Hannibal ignites the gas in the kitchen, Hutch and the A-Team make their moves. The bad guys are taken down in time to save the intended victim and their wounded partner. And if that's not enough, both shows end with a recuperating hero and a comedy bit, because apparently that's how classic television deals with a near-death experience. You know, laugh it off. So, did the A-Team borrow from Starsky and Hutch? When you look at these two episodes point by point, the similarities are pretty hard to dismiss as simply two writers having the same great idea. Sure, television has coincidences. The Munsters and the Addams family can arrive at similar ideas independently. But the A-Team could have set this episode in a bar, or a diner, or a burger joint. But no, it's a family-run Italian restaurant, with hitman waiting for the important guest, a pretty waitress caught in the middle, a hero shot after coming out of the bathroom, a wounded partner hidden in the other room, hostage situation, failed sleight of hand, last-minute distraction, and the final rescue. It had to have been borrowed. I have no idea. Maybe somebody remembered Shootout and deliberately wrote without reservations as an homage. Or maybe in their rush to wrap up A-Team, they had just lost some of the juice and the writers pulled an old script off the shelf and reworked it. As a fangirl, I appreciate the level of bromance demonstrated in both episodes. And honestly, I don't mind the similarities at all. As a matter of fact, I kind of like seeing two of my favorite shows from two different eras accidentally, or maybe not so accidentally, share a little bit of TV history.